Chaotic scenes on the roads across the country as load shedding plunges the country into darkness. The embattled power utility Eskom says stage 3 load shedding will continue until 11 this evening. Meanwhile, the ANC has blamed sabotage for generating units going offline. ENCA's Masego Rahlaga joins us now from the streets of the capital, Pretoria, to give us an update on how it's looking. And Masego, we are focusing on Pretoria partly because this morning it was one of those cities that were particularly difficult to navigate in terms of traffic because, reports said much of the CBD was in the dark. How is it looking this afternoon?
Good afternoon to Lasizwe. Well, we are in Centurion at the moment because the lights did come back on in the CBD, and luckily for those people going back home, there are lights for them to actually get out of the CBD. But the problem to Lasizwe would be after you get out of the CBD, you would find, for instance, if you live in Centurion or suburbs around Centurion, you will find street lights such as this one, and I'm just going to move off shots, such as this one that have come off now. This area is in particular is called De Wervis in Centurion. It's right next to the Gautrain station. This is where a lot of people will be picked up. A lot of Uber drivers pick up people here. A lot of families pick up people here, and that's where you'll start having problems to Lasizwe because the entire area will be dark for a few hours since 3 o'clock. And also, if you're from the CBD going home to areas such as this one, what are you going to do about dinner tonight? How are you going to cook? And do you have plans for instance, takeaways? And do you have the money to get the takeaways? So these are the kind of inconveniences that load shedding would cause for people coming back home this evening to find that they have no lights to Lasizwe. And that's what we found here around De Wervis. We were supposed to have a guest with us, and he was saying how he was stuck along this stretch of road exactly at this time, and that's why he actually came back home a bit earlier because he anticipated that this area would be off at this time, and he said he's expecting that there'd be more traffic, and he was actually upset because he was late to fetch his child from school.
So, it's leading to those considerations where people are sort of considering how to alter their day's work and activities and plan around load shedding and the impact that it has on traffic. What are you seeing in as far as Metro Police? Cities like Joburg and Tshwane have Metro Police departments who, part of their responsibilities is to help out with public safety, because really not having lights, traffic lights working becomes a public safety issue. Are they doing this in the areas that you've visited?
Well, to Lasizwe, I did speak to Isaac Mahamba of the Tshwane Metro Police Department, and he said that, between 6 in the morning and 8 in the morning, they actually deploy officers to areas where they see via the City of Tshwane's schedule that, electricity will be off there. And that's what they do also in the afternoon between 4 and 6 p.m. But of course, to Lasizwe, you can imagine that the type of traffic that you see in Pretoria is different to the type of more heavy traffic that you would see in cities such as Johannesburg. But what Isaac Mahamba also told us, Lasizwe, is that the difficulty is that they don't have enough staff to be able to, release enough officers to these different areas. He says this morning, for instance, they had their hands full. He actually said to me, Masego, I'm not going to lie to you, load shedding is a headache to police officers. And those were his exact words. He says they stress a lot. They have to actually take officers off from what they usually are supposed to do, such as probably fighting crime along the roads, for instance, people who are not following the rules of the road, or teaching communities about, the crimes that happen in communities. They have to pull those, those people working in those units out of their posts to be able to help alleviate pressure. And we do know that this will be one of those areas, to Lasizwe, that, the Metro Police Department in Tshwane will be deploying people to. But if Mashudu could just give give you another shot to Lasizo. Already a little bit of the traffic has started. You're starting to see a little bit of traffic. It will be more chaotic from about 4:30. Offices around Centurion, people usually start work at around 7:45. They knock off at about 4:30. So we're expecting to see quite heavy traffic, with people trying to get home or trying to get to various places from wherever they've been this afternoon. So it is expected to be quite chaotic and a lot of inconvenience to Lasize that this load shedding is going to be causing here today.
But I guess, Masego, it's a bit of comfort that at least the motorists in Pretoria, unlike the motorists in Joburg, don't seem to have to deal with this issue of the rain coming down as well, which on any given day when the rain comes down, it really wreaks havoc in as far as traffic flow is concerned. Add to that stage 3 load shedding in a number of suburbs with lights out in as far as traffic lights are concerned. At least it looks like there in Tshwane, you're not having to deal with that.
No, Tilasizo, you see, in the city of Tshwane, the main problem would be the CBD. Once you're out of the CBD, there's a lot of routes inside that you can use, but there is a certain time that you will be stuck for at least about an hour, not as long as you'd be stuck in the city of Johannesburg, but you would be stuck for at least about an hour to an hour and a half trying to maneuver your way out of short streets such as this one here. You're not supposed to be stuck in a lot of traffic, but I'm sure they're going to be expecting a little bit of that. But you're correct, Tulasize. Not a lot of traffic in the city of Tshwane. Not what you would anticipate in the city of Johannesburg. Of course, it's because of how many businesses are in the city of Johannesburg and how many people work that side compared to how many people work in the capital. But we will expect, and I'll speak to you probably a bit later, Tulasize, where you'll see some of what you would see in this intersection here with the traffic that we're expecting. But definitely, going back to your question, not as much as streets such as Rivonia Road in Johannesburg.
All right, thank you so much for that update. That's ENC's Masego Rahlaga.